Hi, this is Malcolm McDowell. You're watching Without Your Head. I mean, head as in what kind of head are we talking?
This one.
Yeah.
Oh, this one. Okay,
right.
so it's clear. Okay.
All right, and welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous, Trista.
Yes. And we're joined here by the fellows who made Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. We have Mark Patton. It's good to see you again. I haven't actually seen you in a long time, so it's good to see you.
I know. Wow. Hi, Neal. Hi, Trista. How are you?
Very good. We have the directors, Roman Chimienti.
Hey, nice to see you.
Yes. And Tyler Jenson.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So, I've talked to all of you guys before, but now, like, over this time, you've made the documentary, it did the festivals, and now it's, on Shudder. So what's, like, that whole, each step of the way you would get, like, a bigger and, wider and wider audience. What is that like now? You get more and more feedback.
Well, it was 6 months ago that we spoke to you, right? January. Mm-hmm. It was on my birthday.
Really? I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
So thank you. Since then, though, as the audience has gotten bigger, we've all become more isolated. So it's become like we're doing a lot of stuff like this. And we have a lot of time to be at home and, I don't know, reflect on that time that we were on the road and connecting with people. That was really special. But I do have to say that, like, I was expecting I guess I wasn't quite sure what I was expecting, but the reviews that we've been getting have been overwhelmingly awesome. And it's hard because we're stuck at home, and it's a little bit trying to put it into perspective that, like, thousands of people are seeing this and commenting on it, but I'm still, at home. So I don't know how to feel about it. What about you guys?
Tyler?
It feels awesome to see the love, the outpouring on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. People are finding this, and it's hitting them where they're not expecting it to. And you're seeing a lot of people being like, whoa, I was not prepared for everything you gave me, and I'm thankful that you did.
Oh, for me, I sort of agree with Roman. It's like it was a big build-up. This is like 5 years, and to do this thing, and it was very difficult. And so we went out on the road, which I really enjoyed a lot. But that's really tiring. So we just got to that break where we were getting ready to have all this big stuff happen, and then the quarantine happened. And so I feel like I'm sort of living in a virtual world. It's very strange. People reach out to me that are, from the past, or people that I admire or whatnot. And, it doesn't seem real on a certain level. We're just getting into the parts of things where you start to get paid and all that kind of stuff. And it's all, real. It's a business. And, so I would like to be out on the road, but I don't perceive that happen to us anytime too soon. So probably what I'm hoping that we'll do when this all wraps up is that we'll just do another tour and go around and collect all our hugs and hellos, after maybe the 1 year anniversary or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe our Oscar tour.
Now, I know when I had you on last time, Mark, like, you said, like, you kind of knew what you wanted with the documentary, and we're Roman. So, actually, is the finished one how you perceived it? Is the finished documentary how you expected it to be when you thought of the whole idea?
In the abstract, yes. In the abstract, getting it to what I had pictured in my mind. Originally, the way that I came to the documentary before, in the very beginning, when my fantasies of this thing. Where it was called "There Is No Jesse," and it was a documentary about white boys like me disappeared from Hollywood, because I knew a lot of us, that had made a couple of movies and were like sort of fast tracking or whatever. And it wasn't for lack of talent, or it wasn't for lack of looks or anything. I mean, they literally just disappeared. And so that was my first, intriguing thing. And then I started doing some stuff, and I was working with some people, and it just got way, way off track. And then Roman at that time had come on through music and sound or something. And, like he became the anchor for the whole thing. I mean, there's so many times that this would have blown away had it not been for Roman. And then Tyler came on when we went to Florida. And, I think he almost immediately had a vision of what he saw this to be. And luckily for us, all our visions kind of matched up. And we just began to inform each other. So I, at a certain point, I trusted them very much. And you can tell that I trusted them from the ugly photos they took of me and the bad filters they used on me. But, that we just had made an agreement that we were going to tell this story. And then the story just, by whittling it away, which is, I think, it's, as an actor, there's two kinds of actors. There's actors who like go in really small and they start building up their performance and they build it up and they build it up. And then there are other actors who come in and they're really big and they start whittling away. And that, I think that's the kind of movie that we made. I think we whittled away all the stuff that wasn't absolutely necessary. And then we had Roman's grandmother to please. I heard him tell this story on the internet the other day where, it had to be explainable to his grandmother, which is just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Because we wanted people to see this who had never seen Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. And now that has come true. We're dealing with a whole audience. When Consciousness of Sound, I think, that was a big test for us. And that we're like a huge hit with them. And they want to interview us, live podcast us and all that kind of stuff. And that is not horror. That's just straight on, full on music, sort of. I think it's sort of like Rolling Stone used to be. I'm not really sure. But so it's exactly what I wanted it to be. Although I knew in my mind what it was going to be. But knowing in your mind and actually getting there is, a far country. I'm very lucky up there. Let's put it that way. Not them. They knew what they were doing all along.
I sometimes think that people think that a documentary isn't necessarily storytelling. As a traditional like movie would be, but I always kind of disagree with that. So like Tyler and Roman, when you're forming the actual documentary, is that in your mind like we have a story we want to tell here, not just have people talking about Mark?
Well, yeah. I mean, Tyler and I are very different in the way that we think about this stuff. So I like to talk with my hands, and I'm very like animated with what the passion is of the moment. And he's very analytical with the storytelling. And so we spend a lot of time. We learned how to effectively combat each other to get to what we needed. And I think in the end, didn't we always fight? And then at the end, we're talking about the exact same thing.
Right. We would start off at different starting points and argue for the same point, not realizing that we're not being antagonistic towards each other. We just wanted the best outcome for the film.
But then we
were married to each other.
We lived together for a while. We traveled the country.
You described every relationship I've ever been in my life.
Right. I called the police on him so many times.
Oh my God. I nearly died in my sleep multiple times.
But it is, to answer what you were saying about, I think that this was something that was playing out in real time. It wasn't something that we were just discussing that had been resolved in the past. So we had to be flexible in that regard, but we were given this great gift of a story to tell that we would use to weave in these other messages of today. And so I think it ended up exactly where all of us wanted it to, but we all knew that as it's playing out, we just have to see where it goes. And I think that was the beauty of it. It was extremely challenging because I think that it really takes a lot of foresight and experience to be able to juggle all of that. And we were, I don't know, I think maybe in some regards very lucky, but I think that we had enough people in our lives that were talented and believed in this that helped us, and I'm proud of it.
Well, Jack said to me at one point when we were shooting in Florida, he said, "Oh, this will take you 3 years."
Yeah.
And I thought he was insane. I was like, no, this will take 6 weeks. But I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I had no idea, and I'm really glad that I didn't have any idea, because I don't know if I would have attempted it. But Jack said to me, sometime later, he goes, "Well, he goes, well, you don't know how this is going to turn out." And I was like, "Yes, I know exactly how it's going to turn out." And he was like, "No, you can't know how it's going to turn out. Like documentaries, or you never." I was like, "No, I know exactly. There's a story. It's an arc. This story could be turned into, I think, probably, actually, it could be turned into a feature film. And because it plays that way. Do you know what I mean? Like the country bumpkin comes, and and this is what happens, and it all lines up. And I knew. Well, I posted this the other day, and I guess maybe I'm lucky too. Where I've only gotten one bad review in this whole thing, and of course that's the one that you'll fixate on, because we've got we have like 10,000 good reviews, and the one good I'm going to track the guy down one time, and like David, I will track him down. So it's the guy wrote, what was it? The Variety, and he wrote this interview where it's like, I had gotten to the point where I just opened them up, and I just knew they were going to be good, so I just sort of scanned through it. This was so hateful. And it was really directed right at me, and it was everything that I thought that there was a possibility that somebody could say, that it was a vanity project, that I was a whiny person, that it was horrible and nobody cared about any of this. And I mean, it was just 2 pages of just nastiness. And I sort of, I didn't really get pissed. I just went, you know what? This could have all gone that way. There could have been 10,000 reviews like that. And they're not, because that's not what it is. And I think, that was the chance that I personally took, because I knew there was always a possibility that people were going to say bad things about me. My idea for, even, saying, well, even putting your name on a production, say, "Oh yeah, Mark helped produce this," right? Mm-hmm. A wiser person even wouldn't put their name on it, because I noticed I've started changing my take with certain people, where they'll say like, "Oh, how did Roman and Tyler find you?" And it's like, though I start telling the story, because we all tell the same story. We tell the truth, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, "Oh, you mean you produced this?" And all of a sudden I hear this shift in like a lady that reviewed us the other day was very much that. And I had said to her something about, my big fear was that it was a vanity project, right? And then her write-up right before my interview, it's like, this is somewhat a vanity project. And I was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's like, I told you flat out. And she gives us a really nice review. And I spoke to her very clearly about that was my big fear, but she popped it right in there. And, so I'm getting very leery now. It's been such a wonderful run that I'm actually getting very leery about doing any more press at all. And also not expose yourself any further, because honestly, the story that I wanted to tell, they got it out there and they told it, and it's there. There's no more describing it or explaining it to anybody. People say, "What about this?" And I just say, you know what? Go to Shudder, go buy it. It's for sale. I'm not going to tell the story anymore. So anyway, so I don't know where that came from, but that's what you got.
And then he drops the microphone, and that's the end.
That's it. Mic drop. I'm done.
But it's a very revealing time for us, because we're kind of at the mercy of and now everybody's talking about it. Mm-hmm. And now that it's on Shudder, it's times 10, because they've got a wider audience that isn't just fans of ours. And even still, everyone's like, oh my God, I had no idea. So I'm very, very happy. I mean, we made this because we had something important to say, not just because we thought, hey, Elm Street is cool. Like, it's not about that. And people are pleasantly surprised that it isn't. So I'm grateful that we made something that is being understood, but it is still a very vulnerable position to be in. And on top of that, we have all the anxieties of what's happening currently. And it becomes twice as hard, you know? We're all very sensitive to the things that are being fought for at the moment. And I think our story kind of goes hand in hand with that to some degree. So I guess it's a great time for that to be happening, for us to be out right now. But it is, yeah, like Mark said, it's like, it's still our lives that people are commenting on. So even though all the reviews have been great so far, like I can't open them, you know?
Don't read them.
I can't. I did think what I could to the best of my abilities, and I am probably my own harshest critic. That's all I need to know.
The best thing of people reaching out to us and saying thank you for Mark telling a story and being strong and being proud. Younger generation of filmmakers are coming up to us and saying, like, your film inspired us to finish our project. Your candidness made me comfortable to come out to my own family. You have made it okay for me to be the weirdo that I am, and I love you for it. So whatever else anybody says, like, all of that is worth it.
That's
to
true.
Inspire the next generation.
Yeah. Along those lines, what you just said, early in the documentary, Mark talks about, you know, how it's weird to sign pictures of yourself from 30 years ago. And so when you first go into the conventions, you didn't know how people were going to react to you because you read all these negative comments online about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, you know, being the gay hormone and all this stuff. So has that feeling changed over time, like signing those same photos? Because now you know that your story means so much to people?
Yeah, well, you know, it's like it's interesting because, like, when I first went to the conventions, you know, I think Cherry Hill was my first one, and Days of the Dead had signed me to be under their umbrella, and so, you know, they were booking me, and at the last minute, I took my first convention was in Amsterdam. And I went with Alec Vincent. He and I were the main attractions there. And it turned out it was a Star Wars convention in Germany, which was, you know, you never lived until you've seen all these guys in uniforms doing all the Star Wars stuff in German in a field. And I was like, this is super weird and really strange. And I'm in Amsterdam, so I can get with this. At the beginning, you know, there were the people that really grabbed a hold of me. And, you know, like say Deandra was one of the first. You know, Deandra and I have been friends since the first minute I appeared online. And I have that whole group of people. Neal's one of those people that have gone through the whole journey with me, you know. So they saw the whole thing happen. And at the beginning, I just couldn't believe people were paying you money. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And the people would line up, and I would have people say negative things to me, you know, or they would come and get Kim's autograph and they wouldn't want mine, and they were very pointed about the fact they didn't want mine. And I know there's a whole bunch of guys that only get pictures of girls, you know, and if they're topless, it's even better. But, you know, there's that whole pervy thing going on there. But, you know, then I had people like whispering to me, you know, they'd come up and say, like, my favorite was a guy who came up and he was like, I'm Rainbow. And I was like, what? And he goes, I'm Rainbow. And I was like, oh, okay, you're in the closet. I got it. So, you know, and he was like, I want to buy you a drink. And I was like, okay, maybe not, you know, because I would go back right to my room after all of this thing was over. I didn't mingle with people. And I'm just not that type. I mean, I'm an introvert. So I didn't really know what people were saying about me. But what I did is I got on that train, you know what I mean? That is, that I started telling the story. And the more I told the story and the more detailed I got about the story, the more popular I became. And, the more I lost a lot of bookings from talking the way that I talk. I mean, there are certain conventions that would never book me. And I knew which ones they were, and that was okay. I just had to let that be, because I was like, if you're going to tell the truth, you're going to tell the truth. And if the price is you don't get to this city, then you don't get to go. And because you go anyway, I don't want to participate with people who are homophobic or racist. I'm just not at all interested. So, but now what's really cool is like I've made a couple of movies since then, which is nice. And so I have those posters and pictures to sign. And people have pictures of me from now. They're always surprised that they want me to sign. And now the Scream Queen stuff. And so I have a whole new career. And my career is not just, 30 years old anymore. It's very current. So now that's kind of cool. And I love selling, we have a pink vinyl album with a poster, and I love selling that. And I have my own pin collection, pinsploitation. I have like beautiful pins and, candles, and I've got all kinds of stuff in my bag ready to sell when I go out on the road, if we ever get out of the house again.
Yeah.
But, and so I enjoy that, you know what I mean? And honestly, you all know where I live. I live in Mexico, and I live fairly rural, and I can make a living, that's the only thing I have to do. And so that's like a huge blessing, you know what I mean? I'm very grateful for it. And I've looked around, and I looked at some of my friends like Knate and, and then Sid, God bless him, that just died. I realized, horror fans are very, very loyal. And I could be doing this for the rest of my life if I wanted to. When I'm 90, I can still be signing pictures of Jesse and dancing in my underwear, So, it's a nice option to have.
Mark.
Will you be joining OnlyFans to sell that content?
Stop it.
I could, I'm going to tell you something.
I'm getting my PayPal
I could make so much money off OnlyFans. If I was willing to go down that particular road, even just mildly, I can make it work.
You get a lot of traction out of that glove.
Right?
Oh, I get so many pictures of beautiful boys, who are far too young for me. But literally, I get MASH letters, and I love letters and dick pics and just the whole 9 yards. And they're very upfront about it. It's like they tell me the whole story about why they love me, and, they did when they did what they did. And they're and they don't care how old I am. It doesn't matter to them. They're like, you're Jesse, you're it. And so if I wanted to do OnlyFans, I'll probably save that. I do private dances in hotel rooms.
Dances
on the road.
for money.
Yes, you have to bring your black card, because it costs a lot.
I have some video of me and Mark in a hotel room that I'm not allowed to
with
share
the big
anymore.
dick.
But yes.
Yeah, the big dick.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Have you ever seen the big dick stuff?
I can send to you off air. I can't. I'm not allowed to share it.
You know what? I've never seen enough. That's for sure.
I was going to say, Tyler has a better comment here.
It's a 7 foot tall penis with a guy inside of it. And then, and it's called Hard On with a Shotgun. Is that the movie we made?
Yes.
Yeah. So we made a little movie called Hard On with a Shotgun. And it's me and him in bed together with the glove, me and the dick. And I signed the dick, he's inside me. And it was that was at Days of the Dead, wasn't it?
Yeah. In Indianapolis.
Sounds like a really fun party.
That made it. He became a Christian, and I don't think
which good for him. But yeah, he told me to take down all the pictures of the video.
I love Jesus too, but I just thought Hard On with the Shotgun was great.
Yeah. I agree.
Thankfully, it was shooting blanks.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't shooting blanks.
By the way, I have a surprise here. Nate is on the line with us. Also known as Bunny Wonderland for people who have seen the documentary.
Hi, Nate. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Oh, my God. How are you?
It's so good to see
you.
You
look adorable.
Ew, I look like a COVID nightmare.
No.
but I'm working it. I've been saying lately that I look like a Frog Brother.
Oh yeah.
I look like no. I look like a Frog Brother fucked Kurt Russell, and it hurt.
Oh, well,
That's my look right now.
you have a
That's my look
bandana
right
on,
now.
right?
Yes.
Is that what I see? Okay, it's in shadow.
Oh,
Yeah, you are the
It's in
Frog Brother.
shadow. Yeah.
It's cute.
It's just it's in there. Thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Thanks for doing this.
Is
Awesome.
fantastic.
We haven't
Yeah.
seen you since Salem, right?
I have not seen you folks since October.
Yeah.
And Neal, it's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's been years.
Since I've seen you. It's been years. And Trista, it's nice to meet you. I'm Nate. Hi,
Nice
how's it
to
going?
meet you. I'm a big fan of the film.
It's such a fun film. It's such a great film.
Do you recognize him from the film?
Well, I
I
was
cheated.
privy to the information beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't know
Tiny
if
bit.
I would have, but I love the film, and I quickly wanted to mention I'm an actor in LA, so I like to think I know a vanity project when I see one, and I think this is a very profound, important film. I would never classify it that way. And most of my friends are in the horror community, and they've been very vocal about how it's affected them as well. So I just wanted to
that's
pass that on.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's true.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And Nate, did you know you were going to be in the movie so much? And because you're like even on like a lot of the poster art.
I didn't. I mean, when we originally were filming at Seacoast Rep, it's one of those things where like I believed in what Tyler and Roman and what Mark were doing, and I just said, do whatever you want to do, and I hope for the best that it comes out amazing and fantastic. And I knew back then that there was something incredibly special about Mark's story, and also the way that Tyler and Roman were telling it. I thought it was like I had faith in them from the very, very, very beginning. But when I got to see it in October and we had our cute little reunion, our gay union, it was.
Yeah, we never showed you anything.
No, I never got to see it.
I
only
it the
saw
first time in
trailers,
the theater.
the like extended trailers. I got to see it with like a packed theater at the Peabody Essex Museum.
Mm-hmm.
So like I already was like shitting myself that the fact that we're at that I get to watch it at the Peabody Essex Museum. But I brought like 3 friends with me. Tim, who was also part of it with us, was with me, and then 2 of my friends, and we all bawled our eyes out. And everyone around us bawled their eyes out, and everyone was screaming and cheering and loving it. But I really commend both Tyler, Roman, the way that you've edited this, you've put this together. It's such an important story, and it's such an important part of our history.
You gave us one of the best gifts of all time, which was that live performance, that live chest bursting reenactment. We didn't know that was coming, and you nailed it perfectly, and it worked so well. We actually, like in the editing process, we had put all of the Seacoast Rep stuff together, and it wasn't really delivering. Yeah. But when we took that chest bursting scene out and put it after kind of Mark's epiphany, it like hit home so profoundly that, the second coming out, essentially. Like, I'm not afraid of what didn't go right in my life, and now I'm on this new path, and it's much more important than what I thought it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's very, very cathartic. I mean, it's almost scary, when the way that played when we were in the theater, it was like we were having a lot of fun, and who could own? I mean, but Nate actually gives us for me, two things that are linchpinned in the movie that are really super important, and he gives us the turn, for the next act when he says, we have to face the monster. And
I always get chills when I see that part.
It worked perfectly.
And then
I always
I go to face the monster. Yeah, and it's like for me, it grabs me because it sets me up for like, oh my God, it's true. That's what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm going to see the wizard. Oh my God,
absolutely.
Because they're like, it's serendipity. I think the whole film was, and to take nothing away from talent, because serendipity is worth nothing unless you can get it on the screen. But really, everybody that sort of came into our world, was almost like pre-invited in by somebody else. It's just like, it was like all meant to be. I know a lot of people did things in kind for us, and, were very generous with us. And I think the people on stage are equally. This is my Wesso to come and visit us now, because he can't stand to say hi. He can't stand like that. We have 3 dogs, and this is the little baby, and his name is Wesso, which means bone in Spanish, because he's skinny. When he showed up at the he weighed like 4 pounds and hadn't eaten in a long time. So anyway, I love him to death. But anyway, so everybody that sort of came into the was meant to be. They all had something they were bringing. Didn't know what it was when they brought it, and then. When you bake the cake, there it was. Oh my God, that connects to this, and this connects to that.
Yeah.
Well, Nate was one of the dynamic people. I think that we were like a beacon for a lot of people. We showed up and you had stuff ready to go. Like you planned this out. Like you contributed a lot to this. And I think that that's kind of what this proved, is that there's a lot. If you're doing something awesome and you believe in it, there'll be other people that just come and join you.
Yep.
And like Mark is saying, that's the serendipity.
Everyone that your dance sequence is their favorite part,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a struggle to like get that to land in the right spot where it felt earned in the narrative. And when you finally start dancing, it's like, oh, we get to like enjoy ourselves for a little bit, and this is fun.
I just watched it again, like from the comfort of my bed, like on Shudder. And when you open up Shudder and like the poster's right there, and then you click on it, and I love Shudder. I've loved Shudder and I know Tyler, Roman, Mark, you all know this. Like I have loved Shudder for years. Like the content that they put out is great. It's fantastic. It's inclusive. It really does speak to every aspect of horror, which I think is really incredible. I've been like a Shudder nerd for a long time. I have so many times, like I've been like, I watch Shudder more than I watch Netflix, and I've like tried to bring people over to this side. So when you folks told me that it was going to Shudder, my reaction, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I am fucking kidding me. But when we put that sequence together, really, like, I mean, and Neal, I have to thank Neal, because I was on this podcast like 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like yeah, and I met you in person at Let's Be Real.
At Let's Be Real, and it's just because we were doing Let's Be Real. Like we would just screen a movie that we loved and tried to bring in somebody from that movie and do it here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I remember being on the podcast with Neal and just saying like, all I need, I just want to get a hold of Mark Patton. Mm-hmm. I just want to get a hold of Mark Patton. I was like, it is like a lifelong dream to honor this man's movie, to honor this film, to honor what he's done. And then it just
yeah, because I'm friends with Mark and helped out, and I'm happy I did, because it turned out great for the documentary. It's too bad I wasn't there. I wish I could have made it to Let's Be Real.
Oh, it was electric. It was a great crowd. It was a fun crowd, and just so appreciative, and so like, it's always fun, and it's always fun during those events too, when you realize that like, you've seen the movie a million times, so you kind of let the audience watch the movie, and like the people that have organized it, I think some of my favorite moments was sitting with Mark in the lobby of Seacoast Rep and just chitting and chatting and talking while the film was going on, and like hearing the screams and being like, okay, we've got 20 more minutes until we have to get back out there. You know what I mean?
The show was like, Kim and I were in, we showed Nightmare on Elm Street at the Prince Charles cinema in London, and we went to like the London version of P.F. Chang's, a little more fancy, because we couldn't watch the movie again. But I swear to God, across the street in the block, I heard the bells ringing, and I was like, okay, we gotta go.
Yeah. Then
we've got 8 minutes. I mean, it's like, it's just so born into your body after a certain amount of time. Yep. It's the same way with Scream Queen now. It's like, I know what I can take of Scream Queen and what I can't take.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now I've got it. Yeah, I've got the rhythm of the piece inside of me now, so I'll remember it forever.
Absolutely.
It's a dance you'll never forget.
Exactly.
Our mutual friend John Dugan from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he wanted me to ask you, have you encountered as much discrimination as a gay man living in Mexico as you have in the United States?
Oh, I love John. No, absolutely not. You know, it's so weird. It's like, now I've lived most of my life, you know, my adult life now in like, in a ghetto, in a rich ghetto. So, everybody, Wesso, relax. Oh, and here, look, everybody's coming. We've got Mopa, Emily. Hi, Emily. Want to say hi? Say hello.
Oh my God.
Here she is. Hello. Say hi. You know, and I lived in this ghetto, rich ghetto, Palm Beach, West Hollywood, New York City, and you know, that's a trip when you live in that kind of world, because everything is so gay. You know what I mean? It's all, you're in the life. That was it. You know, I mean, that's what it is. And it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now I live basically on a farm in Mexico, and people just really don't talk about things like that. I mean, it's just, we're accepted part of the community. Nobody has ever batted a cross eye at us when we lived like on a street with a bunch of old ladies and children, and the school's right around the corner, and everybody loves our dogs, and you know, nobody's ever questioned me about anything. But you know, we had a gay pride parade here, and my favorite people, there were about 50 people in it, and there were these two indigenous ladies, and the indigenous are the people who dress really like Indians still. I mean, they're very poor, they live up in the mountains, they don't have running water or any of those things. I mean, it's like real tribal people. And they were standing on the side of the road, and their transgendered granddaughter came walking down the road, dressed just exactly like them. And, in tribal wear, and she was the trans. And so they were like, they applauded. They were so excited. And it just seems like everybody has a gay something here. And now I know that there are places where the discrimination is really bad, and then inside of the family too, because families are really closed. If you have a homophobic family, they're going to make your life hell. So I don't want to candy coat that, but no, nothing ever compared to like what I received in the United States. And a lot of like what's so weird now, and it's like I can sort of play with this a little bit, I think, because I think I have some room. The anger inside of the LGBTQ community right now at each other is so tough, that I actually shield myself from it a little bit. I'm about as homo as you can get, and which is, for some people is not homo enough, and I guess maybe I'm just getting older, but I try to listen, and I try to be patient when people say like really hateful things to me. Like I don't know what I'm talking about, and, and you sort of have to hold your tongue and say, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, so there's that inside of the gay world, which, quite frankly, gets a little tiring. And so I deal with that. But I am I'm very out. And what I mean by being out is like, there's a part of, getting really deep here, but there's a part of the gay community that, I just really don't identify with. And it's like, and that's gay. I mean, I'm not a party boy, and I never was a club kid or any of those kind of things. My life was in the theater, and I worked in clubs, but I was paying my rent, So that was my lifestyle, and it doesn't hold a lot of interest for me. I mean, I like a good drag queen like everybody else does in the world, but I'm probably a little more RuPaul than I am,
Bunny Wonderland.
Yeah, You know what I mean? It's like, it's like I'm more like a Las Vegas show drag queen.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so
Pageant
yeah,
queen.
so it's just, I think it's a journey. It's all a journey. I admire the kids that are coming up, and I hope we're helpful to them. But a lot of that part of my journey is over with. I mean, I know who I am. I'm very accepting of myself. I love myself, and I'm okay with everything. And I don't have a lot of battles left to fight. So
that's my problem now. It's my job now to pick up the position of being a mentor.
Yes.
So you did what you need to do.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do it, like continuously. I mean, it's like I'd be happy to, be Billie Jean King or whatever. But, everything's changed so much, and I see it really like, I'm really, Toy, my friend Toy is, we talk a lot because like Black Lives Matter is really super important to her, of course. And we're, we have each other's back, and she's going through, a lot of stuff right now that I went through before, because, she's amazed at the amount of people who are silent, that just don't say anything, like in this moment that's going on, which is so intense right now. And there are friends just kind of like, they don't even notice, and it's written over her face. Do you know what I mean? Can't get any clearer than that. And we talk about that sometimes, how difficult it is, to be out front and to say, this is who I am, and I'm an actor, and and to me, that from people that you thought might be your allies, to be met with real silence, and it's not my issue, so it's really interesting. So it's nice to be a peer to her. I mean, it's the same issue, but it's different. But we can get each other's back when needed. And I've learned so much. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have learned so much about myself in the last month. I mean, a lot. The depth is mind-boggling to me. And I was pretty aware before, but there has got to be some serious amends made in the industry, or we're not gonna make it, because it's ugly, And I just really honestly never realized how many like dyed-in-the-wool racists there are. And I don't even think they see themselves as that. Yeah. But they are, and it's wild to watch people, argue over a word, like all those people that have to say all lives matter. They just go on and on and on about it. I'm like, are you insane? But anyway, sorry, got off track. But yes, I learned a lot that way. And now I'm being mentored by somebody else, which is great. And I'm glad that I'm still open to learning. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. How are you doing health-wise? Because I know when I had you on the podcast the last time, you were just getting better.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I was sick, from being on the road, and I had, I'd fallen into kind of a trap of like traveling way too much and really not taking care of myself. And I thought I was, I just thought, oh, I'm really worn down, but I was worn down. And then my, one of the medicines that I was on was failing. So I found myself in the situation where it's like I had, fallen into some really dangerous territory, HIV wise. I'd fallen below the T-cell count where they get really frightened for you. So I did go on all these medicines, and, the doctor put me in bed for 2 months. And then, this hit, you know what I mean? So and now I'm doing great, but I mean, I basically been in bed for, in my house in bed for 4 months. Yeah. So because I was very susceptible to this virus, I'm like a billboard for it. And I mean, we took it very seriously. We didn't, nothing got in the house. No, nobody comes in our house but Hector and I, and that was kind of it. And I would walk at nighttime with the dogs when nobody else is around. But I haven't been in a store or any of that kind of stuff in a long, long time. And they're very serious about it here. So in my town is very serious. So, you can't go any place without a mask, and all the parks are shut down, and all the are coded, so you can't get close to other people, and you walk down on one side of the street on one side and the other side's for the other. It's very serious. So we have a very smart government. But I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I'm bored out of my mind. To be really honest. and since it's just me and Hector here, sorry guys, I haven't talked to anybody in a long time. And you guys know how I just mean speaking Spanish.
I hear you, girl. Don't worry. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Like, roll up that tape, like you guys go get a cigarette or something. I'll just keep talking.
I hear you.
Anytime. Yeah.
That's why I do all these shows every week now. So there's no one else to talk to. But,
right.
So I get it. Yeah. Trista, you have a question? I'm sorry to take all the time here.
Oh, no, not at all. I do have a question. I think this question is mostly for Mark as well. So the film is very personal. I thought it was very brave. I was wondering if you had trepidation, if you were nervous to make the film, and then if you felt a closure when the film was completed.
Oh, thank you for asking that question. It's it goes in waves sometimes. Like a lot of people know the story that, like, when I went on the conventions, I decided that I was gonna do something more than just take people's money for an autograph. So I had gotten used to like exposing myself in this way that I was going to talk about being bullied, what happened in that regard, and the homophobia, and then finally I was going to reveal after they knew me that I had HIV. So then I was on the cover of The Advocate and like CNN with that glove and stuff, and. So I was kind of used to it. And then I just it was just a way of being, you know what I mean? A way of being in the world where I was just really open up. But then when you like really take that zoom and it's into people that you don't know at all. Like I did a talk show in PBS show in Kansas City. I was home in Kansas City and they played. At the time they were playing Scream Queen. They were playing Jimmy Dean and Nightmare on Elm Street. And so I did a talk show on the PBS, and I went to a farmer's market and somebody offered me some raw milk, because that was the kind of market that it was, and it's unpasteurized. And I was like, oh no, I can't. And the lady who was selling the milk goes, he can't have that. He's like, he's immune compromised. I like never met this woman in my life. But she had been listening to the PBS show.
Oh, wow.
And she knew that I couldn't have any raw milk, or that I couldn't eat any of the dirty vegetables, that they'd have to be cooked as nice as they were. And she knew everything I couldn't eat. And she explained it to everybody at the entire market, It's like, hi, I'm the HIV guy. So I don't worry about that now so much. The personal things are different. You know what I mean? It's like my underbelly shows. So if you want to get me, it's very easy to get me because I'm very open about what hurts my feelings. But I will tell you this, people can't gossip about me. And I don't have people running back to me telling me stories about me because, I just cut it at the quick. I was like, oh yeah, you know where that came from? I'm the one that told that story. I don't have any secrets in life anymore. And, I have secrets, but not secrets that, it's like I stole a fan from the Five and Dime when I was 8 years old and ate a chocolate bar and threw the fan in the trash when I was walking up the hill because my mother wouldn't have known what to do with it. That secret I can share with you. I have little secrets like that, typing things from
now the world knows. Yeah.
But, the big things, no. And I don't really care. Like somebody wrote something nasty on my thing the other day, and it's really rare. I mean, I very rarely get anything nasty on Instagram or Facebook. And I got two, one that was like, attack my looks, that like, you old, wrinkled, ugly. And I'm like, oh, I know that person. I can feel it. I mean, I can feel it. Like, I can feel it when I see it. I'm like, this person has got a fake account. It's somebody that I actually know, and I must have fucked their boyfriend in like 1989 or something. And so I'm getting revenge. So I put
Scorch that earth.
Like, I got the N-word lover. I've been getting that lately, and I know how to deal with that shit. You know what I mean? So, because I think those people are mentally ill. So, I'd like to say that I just pray for them, but I don't. I just, would shoot them in the head. And so I don't worry about what they think of me at all. So so I'm at peace with it. I'm cool. And I know, what's really interesting is I know how to disappear. If I want this all to go away, I can make it go away in about 15 minutes.
We know you know how to disappear.
Yeah.
We know you know how to disappear.
I do know how to disappear. And you know what? And like disappearing is, I highly recommend it for everybody at some point in your life. Like, I remember the day when I went to Mexico and I literally threw the cell phone in the trash, and I didn't have a television, and I didn't have a computer, and I didn't watch TV. And I never felt better in my life, And sometimes when I'm doing this, especially during this quarantine, when I'm sort of glued to, I'm the banner carrier for the Black Lives Matter section of Celaya, and or what I'm doing with Scream Queen, and I be in the middle of the night and I'm on this machine and I'm going like, this is not good, it's not good for you. Like, go paint a painting, or write a story, or just get off this social media. It's not good for you. So I'm going to try to do that, but like, of course, right now it's not that time because we got work to do.
Because
we got special work to do.
I think Shudder just started showing this in Canada. Is what I've gotten from the site guys, and we still have a whole world to travel. So we got to do a lot more of the things. It's people that were worthy to be shown in Germany and.
Can I mention a couple of the places?
Yeah.
We get a lot of people asking us about Australia and the UK. And I'd like to take a second and just say that we will be in the Australian territory launching at the end of August or September.
Okay.
So, what?
I said, okay.
Yeah, so Australia is coming. We've already finished that deal. They've got, I don't know if it's going to be DVD. It's going to be, they will do what they want to do with it. But it's coming to Australia then. And then we're talking with the UK. But we get on social media every day. When's it going to be here? When's it going to be there? But all business is shut down. So these deals are taking longer, but we do have someone working on it. So we get asked that all the time.
The Yucks love us. The UK people, they love us because we're cousins. And the Australians too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
anyone from Germany, put the pressure on your town. Right, that's where we need to go next.
We actually have several people in Germany who listen to the show every week. So,
good. They know what to do.
Yeah. A little bit of public demand goes a long way.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, well, the Elm Street is very popular in all over the world. I mean, it's like I'm interested in seeing how far ultimately in the end we reach, because I get things from. I just got something from Russian Comic-Con, and and like I'm talking to these people in Russia now, and
oh my god, like, they need this movie so bad.
I was going to say they need it like you would not.
No, they showed this movie in the Ukraine. Scream Queen was shown in the Ukraine, and where they could have literally been. Yeah, I don't know how they got it, but they did show it. And they could have gone to prison for showing the movie. I met the people actually that ran the film festival, and I think I was in Montreal. But yeah, Russia wants us to come, but like they said, Russia wants me to come to Russia, but not with Scream.
It's a trap. Be careful.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't.
Oh no, they Comic-Con. Comic-Con wants me to come.
Comic-Con.
Russian Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
Yeah. Yeah, Comic-Con.
Yeah, Comic-Con.
But everybody's like, you could never go with Scream Queen.
Right,
but I'm not going anyway. So
I went to St. Petersburg once for work, and I remember it being really odd that I'm like, oh, I don't see any gay people, or at least any out gay people. And then I would meet people and they would have this look in their eye like, you're from America? Tell me how essentially trying to like help me because I'm not allowed to be myself here and I don't know what to do. And they want you to like calm them down and say that it's possible. And I think what you have been saying for a lot of small town gays is relevant to here as well. It's like sometimes all your problems in life are due to your geography. And if you're in a town that is not appreciative of your gifts and your beauty and your wisdom and your strength, sometimes you have to do what you got to do and get the fuck out and go to places where you'll be celebrated and appreciated.
Yeah, I think that's true. But imagine being someplace, and this has like been playing with me for a while, of where you can't leave. You know what I mean? Like in Russia, you can't just leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't even just go to Moscow. You know, it's more, I think, more controlled than any of us have any idea. I was going to say something which I think is really interesting, and it goes back to the question that John Dugan asked about Mexico. You know, I wish everybody could come down here and and not be in Mexico City. Like Mexico City, cool. Mexico City's fabulous. But if any of you saw the movie Jose, it's from Guatemala, you should watch it. It's really great. It's like when the thing about where I live in Mexico is there's a lot of gay people, but they don't pack up. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't move into the ghetto. Like the delivery boy might be gay, and the cab and the truck driver and the man who picks up the garbage and the one that works at the store and the auto place, and they're all functioning in this world. They're integrated already into the world. And I don't know if that's good, but one of the things that have been interesting to me was to find gay people. You know, when I first came here, I'd see somebody and like, oh, he's not a construction worker, but a delivery boy or whatever. And I'd be like, oh my God, he's gay. I can't believe it. And then when I spoke to them and said hello, they were like, of course I am, you know. It's just interesting not to have everything, the big look on it for you, you know. It's like, hi, this is gay, you know. No, it's like, it's a different vibe. And I wish everybody could get into it because I think it's what the world would be like sort of if we didn't need to, you know, pack up.
Flee to the cities. Yeah.
Yeah, just like be a country gay, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, would our small towns be thriving now if the talent and the resources were allowed to stay there and prosper?
Oh, yeah. I think, you know, it's like if my life were different, I was in love with this boy named Mike, and when I was growing up, and if everything was of equal measure, I would have married Mike, never left. I would have lived next door to my dad, you know, and been house husband or whatever. I mean, that was my dream. I mean, that's all I really wanted was just to marry him, and that was it. And if I would have that opportunity, the girls have decided they're really corny. So, I have one dog to eat. So, guys, stop it.
But didn't you guys notice while we were on the road this last year going to all these towns that we'd fall into these downtown areas and be like, oh my God, it's surprisingly full of gay people or cool shops, or just, it seemed like it's out there or it's starting to develop. I noticed that in places I didn't expect, you know.
Much more visible.
Much more visible. I think because a lot of people can, you know, the cities have their own problem with people being able to afford to live here. And so I think it's a lot of community has moved back out. Like, and I grew up at a time where there was no decision. You either go to the city or you stay in the closet, period. Right. And that was it. And I was always a little resentful of that, having to go down that road. Like, I should want to, not have to. And so it just made me really happy to see that there'd be like people that could live outside of New York City and have a wonderful life and be themselves.
Right.
Oh.
It's amazing, and they are not as skinny.
Not as skinny.
No, I'm serious. They're not, I don't think there is like I'm not like no. I don't think there is conscious of like perfection as we get trapped into.
Right.
You know, I mean, because people who are not gay, I don't know if you know this, but you know, it's tough to be a gay boy in your prime in places like New York and London and Paris, and your gays are very judgmental, you know, and you like, if you have all the equipment, you can just, you know, kiss goodbye. So it's a tough environment to be in. Also, it's not, you know, I love the community, and I love that aspect of the community of where it's very inclusive and loving, and then there's a part of it that's just terribly, terribly toxic too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like
I know it's been that way always, but I know in the 90s, how you look was a big deal because everyone was hiding the visible effects of HIV. So the gym body was now the new thing, and everyone was super pumped, and you tan and you bleach and everything just so that you look like a Calvin Klein model, all to hide the effects of the facial wasting and the thing that's starting to happen. And that caused this new level of like, I don't want to be associated with you because you might out me. Now it's like, I don't want to associate with you because I don't want you to out me for being HIV positive. There's a whole other layer of trauma now that we're dealing with. And beauty has always been a really toxic thing that we deal with, unfortunately. And
well, yeah, I think it's a currency, you know.
That'll be Scream Queen too.
Well, yeah, there were so many different roads we had to omit out, but yeah, it'll be the sequel.
Do you know?
Well, you know, but the thing is, it's like when you say that the makeup and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? To like when I see guys who are like I can tell that they use steroids or any of that stuff. They look ill to me. I mean, I look at them and I go like, oh my God, he's got AIDS. That's what I see. So, and that's just because like, that's what I'm indoctrinated into that. I can read between the signals. To me, a natural boy like I was, you know, at the time in like the 80s without a gym body and all that kind of stuff. I think those are the most beautiful ones now. I'm just like, oh my God, you look natural. You look like a human being. You know, it's God bless you. You know, you're not perfect. I love you. And that perfection trap is, you know, for gay guys is like, you're a Karen, basically, sort of, you know, with your lattes and your
Miranda. Thank you very much.
You're a Miranda. Oh my gosh! Well, yeah,
I'm a Charlotte on the streets, and a
Karen,
and a Karen in the.
Samantha,
thank you, thank you. Mark,
okay, so Neal, who are you? Are you Samantha, or are you Carrie, or Charlotte?
I don't know.
Or I think you're Carrie.
I'm more of a
Carrie Bradshaw.
I'm more of a Carrie. I guess.
I hate all those girls.
Years ago, people were trying to get me to dress as Divine for a while, but it was when I was a lot heavier.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah, fuck yeah.
Too skinny now, but you have to put some padding on.
I don't know if you can see that.
What is
not
that?
really working.
Oh, nice.
It's like Glenn to Divine.
That's so good. That's so good.
Is that a pin? Is
it's a
it
little
just
postcard.
I
got that from Texas when we were there for Fantastic Fest.
Oh, at the rock store?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that store. I got a Billy Idol t-shirt. I love it. Oh, the memories of the road. I do hope we get to go out again. That'd be great.
We want to come to your town. We want to bring the film to your town. We want to hear you scream out loud. That's the part I miss most. We used to intro all of our shows with making people stand up and scream for Mark Patton, and it was so cathartic, and let everyone kind of laugh and giggle before the movie started. And then they started crying, and then I'm like, oh, it's a full spectrum of emotion, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, we have two that are going to come up as soon as we get the all clear, and the Magic Theater in Chicago is going to do us Scream Queen and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Will you be doing a disappearing act at the Magic
Theater? We played a
Theater?
very small film festival in Chicago, so we didn't get the full effect of like a 900-seat theater, which the Magic Theater is. That's going to be really fun. And then the State Theater in Texas has asked. So
Everything's
and
bigger there.
That's a pretty fabulous theater. You know, it's where Oswald hid out or whatever. You know, it's on the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
So you got all that Kennedy stuff going on. But it's a beautiful theater, and they're very film.
Got dark real fast.
Yeah. I remember I've been there, and it's really weird because they have an X right out in the middle of the road where he shot, and like people go and take their picture with like the X where Kennedy was shot, and I think that's a very bizarre selfie to get.
If you go out there as Divine,
they run out into they run out into the road.
Oh, they have people.
I will do that. I'll bend down
for
for
maps,
this.
and they're walking it.
Yeah,
they're walking it.
I loved
you know?
walking the Salem Witch Trial Museum with you in Salem. That's like one of those things that like most people you're like, oh God, like Salem is such a tourist town, but like,
Salem's
really
weird because half of it is very touristy and really lame, and then it's kind of fun. But then there's like the actual old.
Oh, it's so
stuff.
fun.
Yeah,
it's so fun. And then like when
I'd like to go back when nobody's there.
Oh, I know.
I prefer it. In October, I think is actually the worst time to go because it's so crowded. People you don't really want to be around.
The worst time to go.
Right.
Though,
it's good to do it one time. I think, but after that, you don't
to
need
get that experience.
Roman and I got matching tattoos there.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
That black veil tattoo. I walked in and was like, "This is where it needs to happen. This place is phenomenal."
Who did your tattoo?
They were twins.
So Matthew, and they did all my black
really?
too.
Really?
Matthew did.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
I walked in and was like, "This is it. It has to happen."
Surprisingly, they're like old family friends. Those two brothers.
Well, good. I'm going back for more.
Weird, super fucking weird.
I got invited.
Old family friends.
Like when Fangoria who's doing a documentary about gay horror now? I forgot. We sat down for it.
Yeah, I think Shudder
is.
After they did the noir one.
Yeah, I got invited to go to Seattle for that. Remember, I'm supposed to go to Seattle for the premiere of that.
Right, everything's on hold now.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that's good. I didn't. Yeah, that's Shudder. Hey, hi Shudder.
Hey,
we got family.
Shudder friends.
Like
we're gonna take over Shudder
as well. Yeah. By the way, Roman, when you were mentioning just a little while ago, you said there were a lot of roads you wanted to go down, but you just can't because you're making, it can't be like 6 hours long. But going in, I know you had an idea for how the documentary would be presented, but did you know that you would have so much stuff about? Obviously, you have to have some things about the '80s because that's when the movie came out. And stuff. But did you know you'd have so much like social and political, like commentary of the '80s of that time period when you're making the documentary?
Well, I knew that was that's what I brought to this. Is what I wanted to say was speaking to things that I thought people were overlooking right now. Mm-hmm. Mark brought in the historical aspect of that, but there was a lot of current discussions. Like one thing, and I won't get too into it, but one topic that I really wanted to run with more was the fear of femininity and how that is actually the root of homophobia. But that's a whole that could be a movie in itself. So we had to just kind of chop that out. But we have, I'd really love to make that into a little featurette. So if people buy our damn DVD, then we'll be able to put out a Blu-ray and I can add all that stuff, But Tyler and I had to constantly shave out important things.
What do they say? Kill your babies?
Kill your babies. Don't be afraid to do it. I think that's a Stephen King quote. But yeah, it's did I know that I didn't know what all that we were going to get, but I had a sense of what was necessary. You just have to kind of go, Mark's story was the foundation, and you just have to roll with it and pull in all as it comes. But
I don't think it would be as impactful, Mark's story, if you don't have some of the background of the climate, of that time.
Well, what makes it relevant today?
Mm-hmm.
That's really where I knew it had to go there, because that's why we were telling the story. Yeah.
That is the story.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of folks that are not familiar with our own queer history, or it's just kind of glossed over. We're living in a different time. We have medications, we have this, we have that, but that was not something that there's a bedrock that we have sort of been able to stand on, and those people, I know a lot of people in my generation just don't really know that. You know what I mean? It's Instagram. It's all social media. It's a lot of.
How old are you?
Me, I'm 33, but I have the fucking mind of a 78-year-old woman. So
okay, I had an experience the other day with this guy, and he was going on about how the looting in the Black Lives Matter and the rioting. And he was going on about well, my people didn't do that. Like we in these marches, and they, the gay men's chorus sang, and I popped into his conversation. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
No.
And he goes, "Well, no, that's the way it was for us." And I was like, "Dude," he's like about 40. I said, "Do you know anything about your history?"
No.
And he was talking to these young kids who were very angry, and they wanted to go out and protest in the street. And he was like, "No, you don't go protest in the street. You do it this way, and this is how you'll get what we got." And I was like, "You're out of your mind. If you want to be a mentor, at least know your own history." And I started flooding with things with people jumping on top of cars, and the gay revolution in Los Angeles and San Francisco was violent, honey.
Absolutely.
It was not.
Absolutely.
It was not. There was nothing pretty about it. We were throwing dead bodies on the real ones on the Capitol steps.
We would not have half the rights, or any of the rights that we have, if it weren't for a pissed off Black trans woman throwing a fucking beer bottle at a cop.
Well, that's true, but also a lot of gay guys too. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's not all retrogressive. Though you didn't see anything until you saw a button-down white boy who had been raised to be really good. Because a lot of us were raised to be really good. I had a friend, Dalton, who was the nicest boy in the world. You know what I mean? Blue button-down shirts, and I still have a picture of him in my mind running full tilt into the freeway on oncoming traffic in Los Angeles. No shirt, screaming at the top of his lungs, looking at cars that were coming towards him. And the fierce of his anger stopped them. You know what I mean? And that went on in Los Angeles for 9 days, and nobody put it in the newspaper. They just wouldn't put it in the newspaper that we shut down Los Angeles for 9 days over AB 101. And that's why I got mad at this guy. Who's like, know your history, because you're shaming these poor kids who are enraged, and rage has to go someplace.
It most certainly does.
It has to.
Most certainly.
But we did have a break. There was a generation that was lost, which left my generation without mentorship.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're trying to catch up now, because I'm 43 now. So I remember growing up as a kid and having to figure everything out on my own. And it took a long time, especially when I lived on my own at 18 in San Francisco. And I felt like I was in a community, but I felt like I was alone in it, And that's where I think this gap I happen to always be somebody that would seek out movies about what happened, but it's still not the same as getting firsthand account from somebody. So as the years went by, I started to realize I am very happy for what's happening, but I'm also really scared at how casually the younger people are taking some things. Mm-hmm. And that's where that was what was burning in me when I reached out to Mark, when I found out of the story he was trying to tell. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. And I had some opinions on everything that, I don't know, maybe they were feelings that were brewing, and I wasn't really quite able to articulate them. So I think as a group, all of us, I was able to learn a lot as well from Tyler and from Mark. So
Tyler and Roman, we're each different generations, really. I mean, there's 30s, 40s, and 50s, which turned to 60 for me. But, we were each coming at this from a totally different place, really. And it was interesting to watch, Tyler grow up. And, it was interesting to watch Roman, like, kind of mellow a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
And, which is like, that's hard to say, but it's like, it is true. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember he said something one time to me, and it was just like, well, your entire generation is mentally ill, basically is what he said.
I said
Gay
that?
man of your generation. Yeah. You're all basically crazy.
Well, okay.
I was in my 20s when we started this project.
Right. So
I had to learn a lot. I had to catch up.
But you know what? It's like, I had to, I sat with that for a long time. And it's like, what, people say things to me, and I pull them apart for years and years and years. And it's true, he was right, that my generation of gay men most of them were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
I hope I used the word traumatized. But
no, you used mentally ill, actually. Okay. We were on our way to, but you hadn't eaten. We were going to go to,
all right.
You're going to have a vegan burrito at, someplace.
You're not yourself when you're hungry. Have a Snickers.
Yeah, you never say when you're hungry. And he was like, no, it wasn't said in a delicious way or anything, but it was just very straightforward. It's like, your generation is this. And it's like, and it's true. My generation is by and large that. And we saw it when we went out on the road, like just men who would like come in and watch this movie, and they had just been traumatized, and they looked at them, and they were my age, you know what I mean? And they were traumatized. They were like still living in it, because there was no catharsis for them. There were a couple in Pittsburgh. I think.
I remember.
Really stood out for me, the back row of the movie theater, and they were like singing, "Preach, preach!" When I was talking, and the same thing happened in San Francisco when we were at which I know was really profound for Tyler. Was the Castro Theater was on fire. With people who had lived this and had not the catharsis that they needed to have. So
that was such a great theater. Mm-hmm. I forgot how big that theater was, and we walked in, and there's 1,000 people in these seats, and I was like, okay, I just forgot everything I needed to say. But that was amazing.
I love that.
No, is there any?
The only thing that I wish we could have gotten that we never got because you weren't there at the time. There are some things I wish we could pull in that are impossible to pull in because they're just memories. But when Peaches Christ did a Midnight Mass of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I wish we could have filmed that. I wish there was film of it because it was pretty fast.
I tried to find video of that, but it didn't exist.
Yeah, I just feel like it was just a
happened. That happened like right before everyone had like a camera phone, right? Like that was a few years prior. So
it was Frameline. Yeah. It was actually the night that we played in at the Castro was I Am Dying was playing. So the night before I was at Frameline. It was the headliner at Frameline. So they did us at nighttime, and then they get a little like throne to sit in because I Am Divine is sold out. And so I got to go in there and sit, and all the people were like had a hangover from the night before. So it was really cool. It was so much fun. But their show was fabulous too.
So is there a plan to do another one or like work together on something?
Another one.
Another documentary about Mark or with Mark or any other project.
No.
Yeah.
There's
No.
no more Mark to explore.
It's going to be like the 7-Up series. We'll come back to the well every decade and just see if he's still screaming.
Yeah, I'll be like Patricia Arquette, and I'll win an Academy Award for playing myself over the course of a life.
Right?
For like,
God, can you be in the second season of The Act?
oh, I wish I could.
So
I really
good.
I think
wish
right now
it is so good.
Tyler and I have look, this story is not something that you can just force into any other documentary. This was a perfect storm, really. So we're not like launching another documentary just to do so. I love them, but we have other things that are brewing. Right?
Yeah, documentaries are really difficult. I mean, I would like to see these guys go ahead and do a feature film.
Yeah.
I was going to say, can you tell us? Are you working together or are you working separately?
Yeah, there's some things that are being developed. That's the good thing about quarantine,
Right?
Okay.
People have
Plenty of time to brainstorm.
Too much time.
Develop.
Too much time.
Yeah. Let's just say that the cauldron is smoldering right
Okay.
now. There's a lot of irons in there.
but
A lot of irons in the cauldron.
to be forward though, I think now is the time where nobody knows what's going to happen, so you just have to be ready.
Absolutely.
We're still trying to get Scream Queen into all the other territories we mentioned, and we're waiting for people to open up. We were in talks with Germany, and somebody over there, their health declined, and so that stopped. It's a real problem that's going on, and it affects everything. So it's hard to say what's going to happen. We're just using our time wisely.
Yeah, we probably have another good 6 months of touring to do with Scream after this thing is done. And you want to do that because that's, it's a part of the reward. There's money there in doing that. And, and there's contacts to be made for other things. Robert Englund said to me, like, do every, and his advice to Roman and Tyler too is do every festival that invites you, no matter how tired you are, no matter how small it is, because when you're just at your most exhausted and in the smallest town, that's when somebody will turn around and offer you a movie, and that will be the movie that you were supposed to do. So take advantage of it. That's how show business works. So we'll continue to work.
You also have the advantage of having 2 celebrations a year based on your career. You have Gay Pride Month with Scream Queen. You have October for Nightmare 2. The celebrations could continue twice a year, every year, until you don't want to do it anymore.
Oh,
that's it. I'm lucky.
I have a question.
One country western hit.
Mark, what's going on with One Dead Dog?
Oh, One Dead Dog is getting ready to be released right now. That's a movie that I made in Portland. And I loved it. I had done a couple of little sort of wayside things because I wanted to see what I looked like on film. And I didn't really know if I wanted to be an actor any longer. Then I did One Dead Dog, Roland. And it was shot in Portland. I play a grown-up. And, and I had never really played grown-up before. I'd never played a real adult. And, and I had somehow gotten it in my mind that the only fun to be had was, to be the young lead. And if you weren't the young lead, then it wasn't worth doing. I mean, that's something that was in the past too. I mean, I feel like that was who the movie star was. And if you're not the movie star, then it's not worth doing. So when I did this movie, I really enjoyed it. It's about, they love it when I say it. I should really be a pitch man for them, but it's about codependency. It's like I have these 2 nephews who are serial killers, and I'm their codependent uncle. So I clean up their messes. What? But there's some surprises along the way. Yeah.
Sold Nate and
somebody had to teach them.
Oh, I want to see this.
And it's really nice. It's beautifully shot. He's a really wonderful film director. And we shot it in Portland at the high end of Portland. So I have a house where Uncle, that's my name, Uncle Ted, has a 10,000 square foot masterpiece of a home, and I play the grand piano and like my beautiful clothing and stuff. So really fun. Yeah.
I love this. I'm totally sold.
One Dead Dog.
110% sold.
There's a trailer out. I loved it. I don't know. We'll share it.
Please.
Again.
Yeah.
We'll try
I
to
want to see this.
too.
I'm intrigued for sure. That sounds.
You know, I made a movie with some people that Felissa was in, and the way they sort of pitched it to me was when they did it. It was like they didn't really pitch it correctly, but the pitch that they gave me was like something that stuck in my mind that I really wanted to do. And it's like I want to do like a horror Mean Girls, you know, and it's like the Mean Girls of horror. And I would love to do something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just like real death and destruction. Serious.
I have to ask.
Serious scream queen.
Would you play a cool mom or a regular mom?
Oh, I would be like, no, I would have to be like the teacher who dresses them down, like in Love, Simon, like the African-American principal, you know, who tells everybody off in the middle. That would be my part. But no, I would put Felissa in it for sure as a mom. And then, but I could see those Mean Girls being really horrifying as, you know, there's a lot of different ways you could go with it. But I just love that, the Mean Girls of horror. I think that's a great 30-second pitch right there. I'd want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think all of us want to see it. Yeah.
Who else besides Felissa would be? I actually, funny thing, Felissa's one of her handlers is one of my VHS dealers. I just found out recently, which is
one of your what?
Spooky crazy. Do you know one of Felissa's like people that she has? James. He and I just
Is his
met.
last name Blockbuster?
No.
Stop.
I hate you.
I'll show myself out.
Yeah,
it's a gift.
Dad
It's a
jokes
curse.
are
That
you've
way.
opened the gate.
no.
They just mailed me this shirt, you know?
Stop that. No, one of Felissa's friends, James's, I just found out is one of my, like, I collect VHS, and he's like a big VHS
dealer.
He's one of my dealers. It's one of my VHS dealers. But who else? So there's Felissa, yourself.
Oh, but those would be the mothers. I mean, it's like if I was doing a Mean Girls before, they'd all be brand new girls. I would like, you want new people. You want new people. Oh my God. Oh yeah, only like in horror, it has to be the new kids on the block.
Right.
You know, they're like you fill it in with the Lynn Shays and the Felissas and the Mees and the Camille Keaton or Linnea or whoever it is.
I was hoping you'd say Linnea. I was hoping you'd say
West,
Linnea.
but I would definitely put Amanda in it. And I would put practically anything. I love Amanda. I think she'd be great. I also had an idea about doing a nursing home filled with horror stars. And then,
I love this. I used to work at a nursing home. So,
and people start dying. But I would do it like what I wanted to do was kind of like Waiting for Guffman or Best in Show, and I would have everybody play themselves. I thought of it when Sid was alive. Of course, Sid would be there in his makeup, and then there'd be Linnea, and she would be like dancing on the table of the old folks' home with no panties on. We'd all be just playing ourselves in senility, and then people would start dying. So like one of the serial killers really was a serial killer. I thought it really fun, but then have them improv the whole thing. Everybody knows their own shtick so well that nobody can write it better than they can do it. Just play yourself. Oh, I put it up.
You're giving away golden ideas here.
Yeah, I like.
I know. I think,
isn't that a good idea though?
I know some people.
Let's go find the money. Let's make it happen.
All right, that would be a thing you could shoot in a couple. It'd all be in the editing. You could shoot that in a short amount of time.
Bring it.
And those people are all hams, so they'd all do it. I mean, can you imagine anybody turning you down? Like, I think Felissa should be the head of the nursing home because she's a little young. Like, she's Nurse Diesel, or Nurse Rat, be Felissa. And then just get them all. Get all the kooks in there. Get all the weirdos. It'd be a blast.
I am for this idea, Mark. I like it. I also spent some time
well, so
in a
it's
nursing home when I was in
branded
rehab,
as-
which
And
wasn't
it's
the best.
copy mart. Yeah.
All right. We'll make sure no one steals it.
Okay, copyrighted now.
Yeah. All right. Nate, by the way, are you guys still? Well, you guys can't do it right now, but what are you doing currently?
What am I doing currently?
Yeah.
Nothing. No, I'm kidding. So I unfortunately, because of COVID, I lost my beautiful, glorious arts programming job for 3S Art Space, which we were really hoping to have Scream Queen come. We were all talking about having Scream Queen come to New Hampshire and have the New Hampshire premiere be at 3S, but unfortunately, I'm not doing that now. I guess I can say this now. I've lived here in Portsmouth for 12 years. I'm actually moving back to Portland, Maine, at the end of the summer to teach preschool again.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Cool.
Teach those children.
Bunny is, to be very, Tyler, 110%. Like when I stopped, like during COVID, during all of this sort of political upheaval and this stuff, I've really started to think and like, how can I be the most helpful, if you will? And my bunny shows right now, those are completely on hold. Producing events was what is my bread and butter, is completely on hold. So where can I be best used? And my skill, what most people don't know is my background and my like actual degree is in early childhood education. So
That's amazing.
I just signed my deal today to go back to Portland, Maine to teach in my old classroom. And I'll be living literally I'm hopping in the fucking DeLorean and going back because I'm not kidding you, 2 blocks from where I moved when I moved here 12 years ago, teaching in my same classroom in the same preschool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Hopefully
you.
some of the
Thank you, Roman.
hopefully some of the children have matriculated by now.
Say that
It
again?
won't be the same. Nothing. Sorry.
What did you say?
It's not the same students.
No, it's not that. No, I hope not. Hope not. All my students that I had would never that's part of the joy of being a
Right.
preschool teacher is that your kids never remember you. I mean, they do remember
You stay there
you.
long enough, their children will be your students again.
Yeah, you'll get some of the parents of the children that you took care of.
Listen to this. My first day teaching preschool, my first day, the baddest bitch in my high school dropped her kid off into my classroom. And
Was she like the baddest bitch as if you loved her, or the baddest bitch because she was rude to you?
Baddest bitch as in like the girl that got in the most fucking trouble in high school.
Kim Kelly.
Yes. I'm trying to think of. I just went through like Degrassi in my head, but I couldn't figure out somebody that would be that same level. But like the worst, your girl, like your high school's baddest bitch,
Regina George.
Thank you, Regina George.
But he's talking about somebody that's just like a teacher's nightmare.
Teacher,
right?
Like.
Yeah,
I mean, Regina George personally victimized everyone.
Like choker. No, not mean. Just the baddest bitch of that high school.
So
smoked, like ripping butts, got in trouble for drugs, was drinking in the parking lot, like that. Like she dropped her kid off. Like my first day, I lock eyes with this girl I haven't seen in 5-6 years, and I was like, holy shit, she's dropping her kid off. I know who this is, and it was fine, and it was great, and that kid was fantastic. Everything was good. Everything was fine. But I feel like I'm going back in time, career-wise, and also my parents are getting older. I'm ready to I have the time now, so everything's kind of aligned for me to just kind of go back. So I'm going to go back, and I've been not being able to perform. My biggest thing is to write. And so I've been writing my like little short stories about stuff, and that's hopefully,
beautiful.
Hopefully that turns into something someday. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Or maybe it never turns into anything, and that's fine because my writing is just for me. I feel like Bunny is for so many people, and it's also for me as well too. But I feel like there's one thing in your life you have to have no judgment over that you create. You know what I mean? Everyone has to have that one thing. We're all creative people. You have to have that one thing that you're allowed to do that A, maybe nobody will ever see, and then B, just what makes you happy. And so writing has been my big thing. So that's what I've been writing during COVID. I have a beautiful outside garden. I don't know if you can see there.
Wow.
My rooftop garden. I call it High Garden. Yeah, I'm big into plants. So that's my 3 months in a nutshell, and my future, my next 3 months in a nutshell. So we'll see what happens.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Good.
Very good. Very good. So one dead dog we're looking forward to. And of course you can go to Shudder and watch Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. And there's also DVD, a physical copy, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So you can,
There is.
Yeah.
You can get it on Amazon, I think. And then we have some copies floating around also if you want to have them autographed or whatever. So just contact one of us and we'll do something for you.
Have you looked into having it being transferred to VHS? Because there are some people out there that will do that.
I would love to do that.
And they will do it.
Actually,
I should.
And it really fits in with with the time
doing
period.
that.
Honestly, Roman, Tyler, we should, I'll email
I
you.
can't handle anything else, but Tyler can deal
I will
with it.
support this thing. Yeah. Special
There are
orders
people
only.
Special orders only. They take care of it for you. But I've got some really fun friends that do some incredible shit.
Well, then let's talk. That's awesome. I'm all about you deal with it. That's my new favorite way to do it.
I'm all about if I can do that for this project.
Here's the
that's what I
thing.
can do.
If you build it,
We'll come. Right?
if you
Yes,
build it,
If I build
you
it,
build
they
it.
will- they will do it.
If you build it, I can sell it.
Yeah,
I can sell it.
right.
Slap that signature on it. I
Between
can
the
sell
two
it.
of
Almost
us,
get-
We're getting stuff ready for June because
it
Gay Pride,
is
even though-
June. It is June
right,
now.
and that's why we're busy. We have to hurry up.
Right.
I'm like, it's June 11th. Where are you?
It is. Yeah. So
I'm in September of last year.
Same. Yeah. No, we took a break in November, and I don't think I ever turned the clock back on.
well,
So-
Tyler and I are also finishing a film right now, a drag queen slasher film called Death Drop Gorgeous.
Oh,
which
really?
I don't know if you know about that one.
Oh,
the friends of ours made this, and we are helping to polish it up and put it into the world.
Clutching
It's
pearls.
supposed to go out by September, so they got into some festivals that they're slowly coming back out again. And this movie is pretty amazing.
It's
I
disgusting.
try not to say anything. There's lots of things I want to say about it, but
It's disgusting.
no, it's fabulous. It's a beautiful homage to like old school drag and new. It's wonderful, but it's a lot of work when you're trying to tidy up Scream Queen tasks and do movies. So, but we're on the tail end of that. I have to call them this evening, but it's almost there. So.
If Tyler says it's disgusting, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I am a wimp in terms of gore these days. My
really?
pendulum has swung so far back to reset myself. Everything shocks me. Everything disgusts me. But I love it. I love that feeling. And I love being scared and allowing myself to be scared.
I asked this question last time I was on your show, Neal. What was the last movie that scared you? Can everyone answer that question really quickly? You had to think of it. What was the last movie that scared you or made you feel like, ugh?
All right,
Neal, you answer first.
I'm going to think while someone else answers, to be honest, because
Hereditary.
Very good.
And we just did a
Tyler?
show about it last night, but
I saw that.
But it is actually, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
For me, it was the second sin of the Queen, because I just didn't think it was as good as the first season.
What is
What
it?
about season 3?
I'm waiting for that. I'm hoping. They need to move on to another queen. No,
Right.
I don't really like the middle queen. So that's it. That's
Wait, I
That's
didn't hear
got you.
yours. I didn't hear Mark. What was it?
the season of the Queen.
Oh, the Queen?
You know, Queen Elizabeth.
It's on Netflix.
Because I said
It's
scariest
hit
or the
drama.
last thing that most just disgusted you. Just like, no.
My recent discovery, I finally saw Mandy
Oh,
the
yeah.
other day, and
Oh.
I had so much tension in my chest and my back because I didn't know where this movie was going.
You don't know.
It was gorgeous. The sound was fantastic, and
The
I'm
music.
just like, I don't feel safe right now.
Mhm.
I feel like this director is going to throw something at me that I'm not ready for,
Yeah,
and I appreciated that feeling.
that's awesome. Trista.
I just rewatched Cape Fears.
Ooh. Which one?
Scorsese's remake of it.
Nice.
And you know, Juliette Lewis and De Niro are both so amazing, and I'm huge fans of both of them. But just like the way he's being preying on her, I think like really effectively creeps me out.
That was really intense. I forgot how brutal that movie was too.
I actually turned it off recently because I was like, I am not in the mood for this right now.
Yeah.
Like I actually recently turned it off because I was like, I can't do this right now.
Oh, the neck.
Yeah.
Was it the neck or the cheek? I can't remember. It's one of those.
I think it's the neck. Yeah.
Doesn't he? But she
He puts
his
his
finger off.
thumb. He puts his thumb in her mouth. I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
this conversation is too much for me.
The last thing that really freaked me out, or not freaked me out, but like affected me horror movie wise, was the movie The Loved Ones by Sean.
Oh,
Penn.
I have a friend of mine sent that to me for Christmas last year.
Tyler and Roman, Mark, Trista, you will. It's about a.
I've seen
girl.
it.
You've seen it. What did you
I've
think? Did
seen
you
it.
like? No, I loved that fucking movie. I loved that movie. It's disgusting. No, you didn't love it. It's okay if you didn't love it.
It's not that I didn't love it. It's like there are types of horror movies that I like.
And that is the only sort of like.
I don't like it when people are tied down and tortured, and that's where the majority of the horror comes from.
Yeah.
Like I want someone who can fight back and like give me a good final girl chase sequence.
Absolutely.
And like
Absolutely.
turn the power structure.
I
don't like when people are subjected to horrible things and can't fight back. I hate it.
Not one of those people that can sit and normally watch something like that, but there was something about that movie that just like chicken bone in my brain. Like I was like, I loved that and Creep.
I haven't seen that yet.
Mark Duplass, Creep. Those were the two that like really, over the past couple of years, I've always gone back to and been like, holy shit, these are fucking great. These are super good. And Hereditary, of course.
Hereditary's good, but my favorite movie right now is Come to Daddy. Did anybody?
Oh
see
yeah,
that?
I just saw that a couple nights ago. It's
Elijah
great.
Wood.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. I mean, on Amazon Prime, I think.
Yeah, I love Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
I do too, and he always takes on interesting roles, or even just movies as a producer or something.
I just was really happy because I'm like, right now I'm not really, with everything going on, I don't know if intense horror is really helping me.
Yeah, no.
So I was really happy that I was able to laugh throughout that movie, and that it was actually a lot of fun.
That was another movie I didn't know where it was going. Because one of the, I don't want to give it away, but it's a big flip rate pretty early in the movie that I didn't see coming.
Plus, his character was great. The haircut and the fashion outfit. And he was like New York City in that beautiful house over the water.
Elijah Wood also produced Mandy as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was one of the producers on Mandy.
He's pretty wonderful.
The Greasy Strangler, which I'm a big fan of.
You're a bullshit artist.
I know about the Greasy Strangler. I have not subjected myself to Greasy
Really?
Strangler.
Oh,
That's another one. That's another one of those ones you have to be a fucking mood for. You have to be.
It's one or two
I don't know.
reactions. It's either they agree with me that's amazing, or they're just like, why did you tell me to watch that? No one's ever just like,
right,
all right. But yeah,
that's kind of how I feel about Loved Ones. Is people are like, why did you say that? Why did you recommend that? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I loved it. There was something about it that I loved it. There was something about it.
The only movie my mom ever watched that I liked and then she went and watched it and was like, "What is wrong with you?" Was a Serbian film, which I wouldn't have recommended her to go watch, but she watched it because I said I liked it, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?"
My boyfriend still gets Netflix mailed to him, and he's like, "Oh, I just got this thing. We should watch it together." And it was Solo. I'm like, "Oh, watching that yourself."
I'm a fan of Solo as well, so yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you've seen it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen it, and I'll never fucking watch it again."
No, you don't need to. You don't need to. It's like irreversible. You only have to watch it
one
once.
time
You
wonder.
only have
You
to
know,
watch
never
it
again.
once.
I saw Salo when it came out.
Shut the fuck up. No.
No, and I saw it at the Plaza Theater in New York City, and we were in the middle of the theater, and it was packed. It was completely sold out, and we couldn't get out. And it was just like, I mean, it was my friend Tanya and me and somebody else, and we were like those people going, "This is fucking disgusting." And it was just like, out of the way.
I love an audience who revolts against the movie.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and then there were like people from the Spike there just like loving it, and just like it was Leather Daddies, and that was like what, 1979 or something like that.
The last two times that happened to me was
gross.
seeing Mother. There's that scene where everyone in the audience of the theater just like turns on the film like, "Fuck this," and they're so angry, and I loved it. The other time I went to the New York Film Festival, they were showing Stranger by the Lake, which is a French gay horror film with like real sex in it, like lots of sexy sex, and it's mostly like upper crust white straight audience, and like one by one as the hardcore sex is happening, they're getting up and leaving, and all the gays in the audience are sitting on their hands being like,
to go to the bathroom.
Exactly, yeah.
When I was at Boston Underground Film Festival a couple years ago, and it was one of the movies they showed, I think it was Saturday night at midnight or something, and it had hardcore sex in it. And I didn't expect it. It's this weird horror movie about this nymph, and she just starts having sex with a guy. And I thought it was great, but there was a big portion of the audience that just got up and laughed. They were just like verbally, like, "What is this?" And because it wasn't exactly what you expected at a film festival, which actually added to the experience to me. I kind of like that everyone was shocked by it.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see Short Bus in the movie theater.
Yeah,
and that was like, yeah, no, people are very, very strange about sex when they see it.
Well, no, like when John made Short Bus, he was very upfront about what he was doing. So all of those people, they came into the project knowing what they were going to do. But there was some really good talent in his movie, but it stopped all of their careers. They're all like Broadway people now, but it's just like nobody wanted to have anything to do with it. And it's like so weird, because everybody likes sex, and of course, porn's like a $20 trillion business. But when you try to clean it up and put it in a film festival, nobody wants to see it.
No.
It's weird.
I got to see Short Bus in the movie theater, and nobody laughed during that because you knew what you were getting. Like you kind of knew what you were getting into. I mean, like if you've done your research.
Yeah, and Short Bus is sweet, and they're all
Short
pretty.
Buses. It's a little present. It's a little package. I didn't feel bad sitting next to the.
It's what made me want to come to New York.
Are you serious? That really
they're
was
pretty, and they're all pretty too. All the actors are pretty. Don't you think? In Short Bus,
I do love that.
They're there's a lot of crying. But what's the one that Sevigny was in that's so famous? I can't remember.
Brown Bunny.
Brown Bunny. That's right.
The blowjob.
The blowjob scene. Yeah.
That was shocking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a great.
And on that note, thank you so much for having us. It was
great to have everyone here. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, this was
Trista
wonderful.
for doing this with us.
Yeah, thank you. I found this conversation to be very insightful and honest, just like your film. So I'm very
wow,
grateful.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet of you.
Yeah.
Old friends. Old friends talking.
It was really good to see.
We're trying to stay
see you again,
positive, so keep it clean.
There was a couple years I saw Mark every couple months, so then it's been years since I saw him. So it's been good. I've talked to him, but it's good.
Yeah, I stopped doing. Yeah, I don't do the same convention.
I don't
anymore,
either.
So
I don't either. So
yeah. So I became a little more freelancey. So I'm like on the edges of that. So I miss that, though. I had really good times with Days of the Dead and all that kind of stuff. So I liked some of those people. It was very nice. But going to other venues now, so that's how it goes. Life moves on.
Right. Yeah. I won't name any of the conventions, but years ago you predicted how some of those would go, where they kind of sabotage themselves and turn on each other, and you told me that would happen, and it happened pretty much exactly as you predicted.
Well, it's funny with those conventions. It's like I always want to give like a course and like the old man's course, but when the convention becomes about the promoter, it's over. When all of a sudden they all go through that where they think they're the star. Mm-hmm. Like I remember like somebody I was dealing with one time, and they had started out as a fan. Not mine, but like they're longtime fans of like people like Linnea and those kind of people. I mean, they just, they were worshipful. And then all of a sudden it became, after a certain amount of time, as like those actors were lucky to get into the convention. It's like, oh, you're just lucky I let you come. Yeah. Because then they know them as people, and they know that that's a job there. You know what I mean? And it's a power thing. And once that starts happening, it's all over with. It's done. But then the next wave is drag queens and horror. I'm telling you, it's like that's the next convention.
Made someone here very happy.
You need the Boulay brothers with horror stars and a red carpet right down the middle so everybody can sashay and do. And like the straight ladies love drag, love it, love it, love it. You can make a fortune, And drag queens are creative, so it wouldn't be just like sitting at a desk. Signing autograph. Mm-hmm. And every like you get a show.
Every gay person's a witch now, so it's fine.
Yeah, like what Peach did at Fantastic. That's what the convention should be now. A meter, and you get to get dressed up in drag and have fun and get drunk and dance for everybody. It's the future, I think. I don't know. Maybe we'll never get to touch each other again.
I know that would be awful too. We'll make it happen. We'll make it work.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a convention in England here in a couple of weeks, just like this.
Well,
they have it all set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of weird. But
I won't say who, but as soon as this started, I pitched that idea to a promoter that I know. I was like, "This is I think you should do a virtual." Convention, and he's like, "Oh, that would never work." And then like 2 or 3 months later, they started to pop up, and I was like, "You should have did it when I suggested it."
Oh, the people are lined up. I mean, it's really a lot of them are like, and they pre-order their pictures, and then they get to meet with you for a minute or a minute, seconds or whatever it is. And then they upsell. I started doing things now with. If I sell anything to anybody, like I Skype with them and sign it in person, so that I can say, how do you want it personalized? We can chat for a few minutes, and if we get along, we can chat for a little longer. Or I do those cameos. Everybody's doing cameos now, and it's like, especially for in Lithuania and places like that, are never gonna ever get to see you. It's really good. Well, I'm doing Comic-Con, what I forget what it is, in a Wizard World in England. Yeah. So that's the next thing I'm doing.
Well, I think that's a big part of the convention. Wasn't just getting the physical autograph, but it was, meeting the people you saw in the movie and having that personal interaction. So if you can't actually be there with them, that's, the closest thing.
Oh yeah, I think having a video with somebody is great.
Yeah. Plus, you have that to keep too, the video with them, which you might not if you just met them.
No, I think you should do. I think you should be able to keep all the film that you're in. Myself. So you get pictures and all that kind of stuff. The currency in conventions anymore is not the autograph. It's the selfie. People used to give the selfies away for free, but the selfie's the most valuable. It's not the picture. It's what you can put on your screensaver. It's like, hi, it's me and Felissa, and she's my best friend.
Right.
Which she's really good at that. She should be the queen of all conventions, Felissa Rose. She is the nicest, most genuine. I've never seen her treated poorly, and everybody loves her. So I'm nominating her as for the queen.
All right. Well, very good. Well, you were always one of the nicest people to me at the conventions, and from what I understand, you put a good word in for me and got me into the Days of the Dead when they started. So and that's what started me in the conventions, and I always appreciate
Well,
that.
I love you.
Well, thank you. I love you as
give
well.
what you get, honey.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
I love
so
everybody
It all
here,
comes
so.
around. Okay. Are we wrapping up now?
Yeah. So it's good to. This was great, and we'll do it again sometime. And everyone should check out Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, exclusively right now on Shudder. I like Nate, love Shudder, and not just because Scream Queen is there. So there's a lot of cool stuff there, but especially right now because Scream Queen is on Shudder. Go and watch it. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Awesome.
I thank you very
Great to
much.
talk to everybody.
Good to see you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Good night, Roman.
Love you.
Good night.
Good night, Tyler.